Alright, so I have my guns out for a reason because I'm going to be talking about Roanoke. Not a lot of people know what Roanoke is, so I've been asking around about it and everything because I thought everybody knew about it. Um, it's taught in our history books and it's part of the foundation of this country. So I figured a lot of people knew about it, but apparently not because, again, I've been asking around about it and nobody seems to know what it is. But since people weren't paying attention to the history of our country when they were growing up and in school, I'm going to inform you guys of Roanoke. So, Roanoke was a colony that started around 1585. Um, they started to fail. They were running out of supplies and not doing well. And this is, again, Roanoke colony in the United States of America. Um, so it was originally settled by 115 English settlers um, from Great Britain, obviously. And like I said, after about 2 years, they started to fail. So around 1587, they sent John White um, back to Great Britain to get supplies. Well, it was England back then to get supplies to resupply and come back. Well, at the time, Spain um, attacked England, and so Queen Elizabeth seized White's ship and made him fight. So he didn't return until 1590, and he left behind family and everything. But by the time he came back, everybody was gone. The only evidence left behind was Croatoan, which was carved into a wooden post that was hammered into the ground, I guess, or just dug into the ground. But yeah, they say that at the time that Croatoan was also a name of a Native American tribe that was locally. But like I said, over around 120 settlers at the time because it had grown a little bit. There were a few people that were born. They just up and disappeared. So when he was looking around and everything like that, he noticed that there was a lot of scratch marks in trees and there was a lot of evidence that something had gone really, really wrong. So there's another account, and the other account is some of it was passed down through the Native Americans or Indians or what have you, whatever is a proper term for them. Again, the Indian tribe stumbled upon the massacre that was going on at Roanoke Colony from the settlers. So they tried to put down the English settlers because of what was happening at the time. They were enraged and they were eating each other and killing each other and stuff like that, scratching, aimlessly eating animals, local animals, ravenously. A small group of Native Americans stumbled upon them and ended up being killed by them. It was somewhere around like 7 of them. It was just like a party, a scouting party that was trying to keep an eye on the Roanoke colony and got caught up in it. And so they sent reinforcements and everything, and they tried to put them down. So there were a lot of arrows and stuff left in the trees, but they ended up having to leave and retreat because they were being overwhelmed by them. They described the people as being ravenous and extra angry and aggressive and just eating everything and anything. So what exactly does that mean? They didn't have a term for it at the time. I don't know exactly what they called it. I don't know. You just have to look it up. I don't know what Indians called zombies at the time, but yeah. So that's what had happened. The evidence pointed to one of the settlers being bitten by a rabies-infested animal, and then it mutated into the human rabies virus, and then that mutated everybody in Roanoke colony into zombies. But real zombies, being the human's rabies virus, are not the living dead, obviously. So it is very simple to kill a real zombie. Anything that can kill a regular human being can kill a zombie. It doesn't have to be headshots or anything like that. But obviously, if you have a ravenous human coming at you, you want to put them down as fast as possible. So if headshots are the easiest way, then so be it. But to me personally, I would shoot more towards the chest area for real zombies. But at the time, they were limited to hand-to-hand combat and bows. The responding people to the zombie infestation, and so they were overrun and had to retreat and go back to their island. So the Native Americans fled Roanoke and left them to eat themselves and whatnot and disappear and just die. Real zombies are the human rabies virus infected people. If they're left be and they don't have any food intake or anything like that. Obviously, they don't drink water, so if they're not eating food, they'll die within a month to 2 months at most. If they're eating food, and if they're not eating food, anywhere from like a week, maybe around a week. So you can wait out real zombies and just let them die of their affliction of the human's rabies virus, which would be about a week approximately. Anybody who is bit by somebody or scratched by somebody, or their infected blood gets on you and you inhale it or something like that, or you get it in your eyes of an infected person with human rabies virus, it can be treated. But you have to be treated within 24 hours. If you're not treated for the human rabies virus within 24 hours, you will die. There is no saving you at that point in time. So if it ever happens in real life, nowadays we do have ways to stop the spread of the human rabies virus. So zombie outbreaks are controlled nowadays. Very rarely does somebody die of the human rabies virus nowadays, because most of the time they seek treatment within the 24 hours, and then they don't actually get the human rabies virus. They're able to treat it before you become infected. But like I said, once you're infected past that 24-hour mark, you will die, and you will become a ravenous zombie and infect anybody and anybody that you can. So that's what happened to the Roanoke colony. They had a human rabies virus outbreak, and it ended up killing everybody. The massacre was seen afterwards by the Native Americans because they came back after the Roanoke colony was left for like, I don't know, days. I don't know exactly how long, but they went back to check on the Native Americans that they had sent to try and put them down. Well, all they found was just a complete massacre. Blood everywhere, bits and pieces of animals and people, and gnawed on everything, and scratches all over everything. The houses that they had built, all over all the trees and everything. Arrows in the trees and all over the place, and it was insane. There was blood all over everything. And so that's when they put their name on the post. So that way they would mark it as a do not go there, because they believe that being in there and going in there would get you infected, because at the time they didn't know exactly. The medical aspect of things that we know is more spiritual, so they were afraid that you would get infected and you become like that again for going in there. So that's why they put the post markers as a sign not to go there. But yeah, so a lot of people think that zombies are going to happen nowadays, and there's a lot of evidence to that. The United States themselves, the CDC, disclosed that they have a weaponized strand of the human rabies virus. And again, that is what caused the Roanoke disaster or disappearance or whatever you want to call it, of over 100 people. And including the Native Americans, it was close to or just over 200 people were infected and then turned into zombies, and then they all died with the human rabies virus. So again, the United States CDC has disclosed that they possess a weaponized strand of the human rabies virus that is mixed with meningitis. It is mixed with meningitis, so that way it is spread faster and spreads to everybody, and it is more infectious, and that way you're guaranteed to get the human rabies virus if you're exposed to this meningitis. So if the United States has come out and said the CDC has disclosed that they have a weaponized strand of the human rabies virus, i.e. the zombie virus, the real life zombie virus, again, the human rabies virus is going to be weaponized with other countries, is what I'm getting at. If the United States has it, then obviously, if they're disclosing it and it's not a secret, then other countries have it. I wouldn't be surprised if China has it, and there's evidence that China does have it. Recently, the bath salts outbreak here in Florida, we had to deal with that, where a man snorted bath salts and became ravenous like a zombie and ate a man's face off while he was living on a bridge. A homeless guy just ate his face off while he was living. And you hear about it all the time, people snorting bath salts and eating their own dogs and going crazy and just turning into like a zombie. So bath salts has a weaponized strand from China of the human rabies virus. It's just in small enough quantities that most of the time it doesn't actually turn them into zombies. They just have zombie fits while they're high off of the drug. So yeah, that's another reason why you don't want to mess with China's designer drugs and stuff like that. Just another reason why you don't want to do this kind of stuff. But it just leads us to believe, anybody who pays attention, that China has a weaponized strand of the human rabies virus, and that they're infecting us with it here in the US by putting it in designer drugs and stuff like that, to try and cause a Roanoke disaster again, but nowadays, which would be even worse, because if there was an outbreak of the human rabies virus with meningitis, it would infect tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people within hours, because how quickly it would spread. And then from there on out, because it's an aerosol, after it infects that initial population of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, because they would release it into like a city or something like that, it would cause an outbreak, and we would have to outweigh it. So if people are stupid and go out and think that they can just kill them all and stuff like that, and go out to get food or something like that, and they don't hunker down and like board up their house, then it'll continue to spread and keep spreading, and it'll kill millions of people. Meningitis is already bad enough as is, but now that they're mixing it with the human rabies virus is bad enough as is, and then now it's gonna be the actual zombie virus. The actual zombie virus is the human rabies virus, and with them mixing it with meningitis, it's a weaponized zombie virus. So if you're not prepared, obviously get prepared because this very well could happen shortly. We've already seen it almost outbreak in Florida. Um, Thanks to China with basalts causing it to almost outbreak. But luckily, it was just small enough release of it that it was able to be stopped. So yeah, hopefully that we don't have a release of the weaponized strand of the meningitis and human rabies virus. But like I said, as a preppers, we need to be ready for zombies. It is a real thing. But like I said before, if you're smart, you'll just outwait it because eventually they will die. Because anybody affected by the human rabies virus does not drink water, and you will dehydrate and die within anywhere from a week to 2 months at most, depending on how much they feed. Uh, if they're feeding and you can intake water from blood, so it just depends on how much they're feeding as to how long they will live. So if you are able to hunker down for um I would say anywhere from like 2 months to 3 months, then you should be fine because at that point in time, the numbers will have dropped down and a good bit of the population of the infected will have died. So then you'll be able to go out and be able to handle it as you scavenge and stuff for food and whatnot like that. It'll be a lot less of a massive population of zombies, people affected by the human rabies virus. So if you're smart, you'll hunker down for like at least 2 months, and then you should be good to go out and scavenge. But you're gonna need your rifle, and you're gonna need your pistol. Um, Unlike people really think that you have to be quiet. Real zombies, you don't have to be quiet. It won't draw them in. Their senses aren't going to be active like you would think. They're going to be visually, not sound oriented. Visual motion and stuff like that is what will draw them in, not sound. So you don't have to worry about being loud. But if you want to throw a suppressor on it, so be. But you don't really need one because, like I said, human rabies virus, they're not going to have their senses about them. They're not going to have their brain functioning properly. They're going to be all visual. It turns you into like an animal, and a ravenous animal. So the only thing you're going to be focusing on is sight if you're infected with the human rabies virus. So that's why another thing, it's a misconception about sound. You don't really have to worry about that. One of the best things you would probably be able to do, I hate to say it, but not only learn firearms, but learn chemicals. If you could gas them out and kill them with that, I know it's horrible to say, but if you know how to make mustard gas, it would be an exemplary weapon against them because it'll take out a large crowd of them and they'll be infected, so it'll kill them if it breathes them in. So if you get overrun, that's pretty much the only thing you can do. I hate to say it, but I mean, really, there's no way that if you get overrun by a crowd of them that you can do anything about it. So I mean, it's just like the movies, the crowds overrun you. So if heaven forbid, if you have to have a backup plan, because the weapons are only become useful once the crowds start to thin. Like I said, just hunker down, prep for it, and wait it out. All right, YouTube. See ya.